Hi, so this video is going to show you how you can create like a half-face cartoon portrait. So just to show you what we're talking about, it's going to look something like this. So half the picture, well, in this case, 1/3 of the picture is the actual image that's unedited, and then there's two spaces right here in which it looks like a cartoon. So we're going to be doing this. So hopefully at this point, before we start this project, number one, you played around with Kleki. We're going to do a project in using Kleki for this this particular assignment because I really like the way that the colors are added. I like the kind of brushes. It's a lot. It's very, very fluid and really nice, especially for a project like this. And also, hopefully, you've gotten familiarized with the photo booth. Okay. So ideally, I'd like you to use an image of yourself using photo booth, but if you have another picture that you've gotten digital and you'd like to use that, that would be fine as well. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to open up Kleki, and then we're going to go up to File, and we're going to import the image that we took for this assignment. So it's a picture that you took with photo booth. So I'm going to use the same one that I just showed you, and it is right here. Okay, so it's going to ask you if you want to use it as a layer. You do want to use it as a layer. So you could use it as an image, but we want it as a separate layer. Okay, and then we want it to be in the center and fit. And now at this point, if you wanted to crop it, you can, but we're going to crop it in a minute. Just say okay. It's at this point, if you want to crop it, I'm just going to make the image a little smaller. You can certainly do that. So to do that, you go to Image and you go to Crop, and you can get rid of any space that you want. You can have this be like more of a square image or a long image, depending on what you really want to achieve. That's completely up to you. All right. That's good. Say okay. So there is our image. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to start drawing our lines on here. And you can go with one line, or you can do what I did where I did 2 lines, and you're going to, like I said, put these outlines in. But before we do, we're going to drag the opacity of the photo down to 25%. So then that way you can see the lines a little bit better. So we're going to go ahead and go to these layers, and you can see that here's the background, and then here's the layer that our photo is on. And like I said, you can bring it back down, and if you want to bring it to like 25 or a little higher, I'll do about 29. That's good. And then we're going to add a new layer. So to add a new layer, and this is where we're going to put our outlines, you are going to go to the plus sign here, and right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to rename this layer. So to rename a layer, click right here, and we're going to call this layer Outline. So that way, well, let's spell it right. So that way we know what this is of. This should be only the lines. So rename. Okay. So it's at this point then you're going to start to draw your lines. So you're going to use this brush tool here. You're using this first one here. You don't want them to be blending or sketchy. You want them to be very, very deliberate. So we'll use the pen. And you can change the size as you want. And the brackets next to the letter P on your keyboard will change the size as well. So I would say, and we're going to be working with black. So, and when you do this line, I mean, if you draw it and you say it's a little bit too thick, you can hit Command Z and try it again and lower the thickness of the line. I think I used about 8. I think that was pretty much what I enjoyed using. So like I said, if you wanted to draw a couple of lines, think about where you want the cartoon parts to be and where you want the non-cartoon part to be. I'm going to split myself right down the middle like that. And you want this line to look pretty fluid. You don't want it to look too shaky. You don't want it to go like that. Probably want it to be a nice swoopy kind of thing. You could go to stabilizer and you could increase the stabilization to a little bit higher, and you can see that it makes more of a fluid line there. And I like that one. That's great. So the idea is on one side, you pick whichever side that you want to draw your face, and you're going to go ahead and start outlining. The thickness of the line that I have, that's pretty thick. I probably want to use thinner lines as I go throughout. And you can try them, and if it's like too thin, you can make them thicker. Changing the stabilization, if you change it to 0, the line, it'll be a little shakier, but you'll have a lot more sort of control. So if you wanted these lines to be smoother, you move up the stabilization. And if you want it to be, if you don't really mind it having a little bit of a rough edge to it, you can lower it down if you want to be really particular. So you're going to be doing some outlining. My suggestion to you would be zooming in. And so the zoom, by the way, if you want a shortcut, if you hold down the letter Z and you drag horizontally and vertically, that does the trick. I'm going to hold the letter Z down. And if I drag it to the right and I drag it to the left, it allows me to zoom in. And when I want to go to a different spot, I hold down the space bar and I move it around. So again, you can zoom out by holding down the letter Z and drag it to the left and the right, and you're going to see that you're zooming in and out. And changing the size is the brackets next to the P, and we're only using black for the time being, and all we're doing is we're doing some outlines. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, and I'll catch up to you guys for the next part of the video. And again, you can see I'm using a thinner line than before. I tend to use thicker for big areas, like important areas. My glasses are kind of important, maybe the side of my hair and maybe the side of my face. And then when I get into like the little smile lines and little wrinkles on my forehead and little strands in my hair, I'm going to be using a thinner brush or a thinner line. Okay, so see you in a bit. All right, this is what I've done so far, but one thing I do want to mention is you do not want to leave out anything in the background. You want to put some of these lines in. You don't have to get everything in, but at least get in some of the important things. Like, I'll put a little line for a shelf in over here. Okay, so if you do have anything in the background, you can incorporate it, but you can absolutely change things as you go along. Like if I wanted to put this in, that's okay, but maybe I don't want to put the posters in. So here we go. Oh, my brother just finished his Wordle. All right. Oh, my mistake. I wasn't supposed to do that side. It's only on the left side. I do that a lot. I'm sorry, it's on the right side. Yeah, so again, you can go with smaller lines, thinner spaces. You want to get little lines in here, anything that would make sense with outlining. And just to see your progress, if you can go to this, you can go to your layers and you can bring this down so you can see what your kind of drawing looks like before you start adding colors. Okay, so just keep going. It's at this point if you needed to erase anything. So I went ahead over here, and if I go down below here, there might be some areas that I would like to erase. So you can go to the eraser tool. And again, to adjust the size would be the same way as with the brushes. You're going to hit the brackets next to the P. You can also slide this back and forth, and you can remove any lines that you don't think are very clean. So you can always make some changes, because again, we're only working with this one layer. Okay, so you don't want to do any lines on the photo or on the background. You want to keep all your outlines on this layer. So in addition, if you go ahead and erase some lines, it's not going to erase anything from your drawing. It's just going to erase it from the outline layer. So okay. Okay, if I hold down the space bar and double click, whoops, let's try that again. If I hold down the space bar, so I get to the hand tool, and then I just double click, it'll get it to fit on screen. So here we are. It's at this point now that we're going to be ready to color in this right side. So we're going to add a new layer, just like we did before. And excuse me for a second. Boop. And we're going to name this layer color. Wow, Corso cannot spell today. Okay. And we are going to bring this underneath the outline, because when we start to color, we want to be able to see these lines, the black lines. So it's now that we're ready to start coloring. So I'm hoping that you guys are going to take advantage of exploring different colors, you know, do a little, you know, creativity when it comes to colors. You don't have to match your hair or your skin or your eyes. You can do pretty much whatever colors you want. So if I wanted to be green, let's say, I can totally color in green. I'm going to increase my size, go nice and large. And at this point, you're going to start to just add your color. And you could see that when you do add the color, it's coming through, the lines are coming through because I'm coloring it in on top of my photo. The layer is on top of my photo, but the layer is also underneath the outlines. So you can see. So you can add color. You could try different brushes. You can do different effects. And I'll get pretty creative when I start doing like my hair. Let's say I want to do like a, you know, keep like orange. And sure, of course I can do like some orange, but if I wanted to add some different value, like if I wanted to go with a lighter version of it, and then maybe I wanted to lower the opacity. So if I lower the opacity of this, it's going to make it kind of sort of blendy, see-through kind of thing. So you can kind of create some different effects. You can also, you know, go ahead and smudge some of the color around if you wanted. So you absolutely can explore the many ways that you can be applying color. And if you color outside of the lines, just know that you can use the eraser and you can remove it from some of the spaces. Okay. And just to see how you're doing, you can go back here, you can take your photo and you can bring it down so you can kind of see what that side's going to look like. All right. One last layer you're going to be adding is going to be one, and you're going to call it background. And the background, and you can call it background or background color, and you're going to bring this underneath the color. And so when you start exploring colors for the background, again, you could see that it's going to drop behind everything that you're going to color in the foreground. Okay. So if let's say that I just put red in the background there, and then I wanted to go back to my coloring, and I start working with the colors in the background. I'm using eyedropper, and I start to color in the foreground. You could see that it's going in front of the red, like on top of the red. Okay, so you want to make sure you don't put color over here, but you know, you can keep on working. And like I said, explore the different kinds of brushes and different kinds of surfaces that you can create. You can add textures. You can smudge stuff around just to kind of get a different sort of look. In the background, you can put different types of effects in the background if you'd like. And you know, I'd really like to see what you guys come up with. I hope you get some, you know, little bit of creativity going. And definitely have fun with this. All right. And that's it. The idea is you want to fill in this entire back side over here. Okay, you want to fill that whole thing up with color. All right, that's it. Have fun, enjoy, and I'm here if you have any questions. Oh, one last thing. When you go to save it, so sorry about that. When you go to save it, you go to File, and you're going to save it. If you're going to keep working, you save it as a PSD. Okay,